Hi everybody, I'm Sean Bromelo from Diversivore.com, and I'm here to show you part 2 in my little series on how to best tag your content on public.com for visibility. If you haven't seen part 1 of this, I would recommend you go watch it now because this part will skip a few things that we've already covered. I am currently in the dashboard for my publisher site already. So last time we left off here, I went into this unindexed content section. I picked a recipe that had not been tagged and I tagged it. This time we're going to actually optimize a little bit more, add some more tags, just because I like to do that and I like a little bit more with all of my tagging. You do not have to do this, but if you're thinking you'd like to increase your visibility and teach the artificial intelligence a little bit more about the kind of content you create, then this is a useful thing to do. So instead of starting an unindexed content here, I'm going to go to optimization, which shows me everything I have already tagged. Now, last time I did a Japanese recipe. I'm just going to find it. There it is. And what we're going to do is, instead of starting with a brand new one, we're going to add topics to this one. We're going to add tags. So in order to do that, it has to be something you've already tagged before. You can't tag somebody else's, add to somebody else's tags right now. So I've done this. I did in the last video. I'm going to click the pencil on the side here on the right side. We're going to open this up and we are just going to go through the same menu we went through last time, but we're going to add some extra stuff. So again, you can just skip through the picture at the beginning. We've already done that. We've already done categories, food and drink. Now these are our topics here. Okay, so within this section, I've already got a few really good ones: food, cooking recipes, Japanese food and drink, hamburgers. I'm going to add a topic called ingredients. This is one I really recommend food bloggers use. It's actually something that I suggested to public and we implemented, and it will, in the future, we hope, allow users to navigate recipes by ingredient. So I'll get to showing you what that looks like in a minute. Now, you have to think at this point, what are some of the things that make the most sense for your specific recipe? You don't want to copy me here. You want to do what makes sense for you. Wafu hamburger is a Japanese fusion sort of food. So I'm going to type in fusion. Hey, fusion food. There we go. Let's add that one. We can look at this. We can say, okay, well, you know what? It's a beef recipe. It's also a pork recipe. So you know what? I'm going to add beef and I'm going to add pork as well. You don't need to necessarily watch me go through every little thing here, but I wanted to give you an idea of some of the ideas about how you could expand your thinking here. So from there, we can click through again and go to the next menu. Now, the tags you added before will already be there. You can add whatever makes sense to you here. I would recommend that you avoid being overly redundant with things that are how do I put this? Not particularly useful. So if you're in Japanese food and drink, don't add Japanese food as a tag, as a subtopic. It's redundant. You're already in a tag called Japanese food. If you are in a topic that says, let's say, vegetarian recipes, don't add recipes. We already know it's recipe. It's in the topic itself. Adding that kind of content will not really help the artificial intelligence figure anything out. So you want to be smart about this, kind of do it the best way you can. So now, ingredients was one I just mentioned as being sort of my creation here. I'm going to go back through this later and add more topics that you guys don't need to watch me doing. But this is where I suggest you add the most important key ingredients to your recipe. Beef and pork are pretty big ones. Let's also say daikon radish. Daikon radish is a big part of this as well. So I'm going to add that. And as I said last time, if something doesn't exist, you can create a new subtopic. Do that, try to make sure you spell it right and all that stuff. It'll be more useful for everybody else. Fusion food, better not to leave these blank. So again, we'll add recipes. It's Japanese fusion, so I can add Japan or Japanese as a subtopic. I can also add, let's see, what else could I put in here? Hamburger. It's a fusion hamburger. I don't really need to write fusion, fusion, fusion over and over again because we're in the fusion food topic. So we've got beef here. How about we add recipes? And you'll notice as we go along and as the system gets smarter that you'll see more and more topics suggested here. That's great. Obviously, double check them and make sure they apply to you because there's no guarantee that every one of them will be right. So once again, we'll go to pork. We'll say cooking. Create the, you know what? I thought that would have been a topic already, but we'll skip it for now. Recipes. And we'll go from there. Oh, I'm going to run out of time again. So that's just a basic idea. Now, the last thing are these search queries. These can help create some visibility. They're not super important, but let's just say Japanese fusion recipes. If we need to get into these in more detail in the future, we can. But for now, That's probably enough information. Hope that helps. Click the little check mark button. So yeah, that's the basic idea. You shouldn't need too much more information to get the basic elements done. Once again, you can navigate through your dashboard in a few different ways. Unindexed content, optimization, that'll get you to stuff. Optimization will get you to stuff you've already tagged. Unindexed content will get you stuff you have not yet tagged. One last thing I wanted to go over is that you can tag anybody's content. So it's important to note that either the scraper or publishers who are not really interested in tagging may upload content and it will remain uncategorized. We can see that if we go to the main page here. So just on the home page here, let's look at a food content. Well, right there, we got these lovely recipes from Spend with Pennies on the side here. Garlic butter steak bites. Well, I can classify this myself. You don't have to wait for publishers to do it. And there is an advantage to this in that you get 10% of any click value as the categorizing tagger. So if I think this recipe is great and going to do really well and nobody else is bothering with classifying it, I can click on that gray button, classify this content, and I can do it myself. I'm not going to walk you through that whole thing right now, but the whole process is exactly the same as when you categorize your own content. So there you go. That's the basics of tagging on public.com. And it should be a pretty straightforward process for you. Once again, I will remind you that this second video was a little bit more detailed. If you're worried that it takes too long to do all of this or that you're not going to have time, just do the basic initial level of tagging, and that way you've got basic categorization done. You've claimed the categorization. You get that 10% of your own stuff, and the system will know, hey, you've got a whole bunch of food and recipe content, and that's great. Then you can do more when you have time. Thanks very much. Hope that was helpful, and I'll see you again soon.